It's Toilet Tunes. And now we pause. It's Toilet Tunes. I'm your host, Sarah Morris. Folks come to my big green bathroom somewhere north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we sing a little, we talk a bit, we put it out on the internet just in time for your Friday afternoon. Of course it's the internet, so you go on and watch it when you choose. But there's a new episode coming out real soon. So stay toilet tuned, stay toilet tuned. And that was our pause. I'm Sarah Morse. I invite people into my big green bathroom in Shoreview, Minnesota. But sometimes I'm on the road, like right now. And so I bring the green with me and I find other people who say, sure, I'll sing in the bathroom with you. And one of those people is one of my dearest friends and biggest influences and been a bathroom dream really as long as Toilet Tunes has been around.
Too.
Corinne Chapman Morse. We are in Tennessee and we are going to sing a song about some other states. And you might know it.
I will say though, you mentioned to me that you've never done Toilet Tunes from the toilet. You are sitting on the toilet.
It's the first time I've sat on a toilet for Toilet Tunes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty exciting. Big day.
No worries though.
Big day here. All right. Baby, what do you say we just get lost?
Leave this one horse town like two rebels without a cause. I got people in Boston, ain't your daddy still in Des Moines? We can pack up tomorrow, tonight let's flip a coin. Heads Carolina, tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer, up in the mountains, down by the ocean, where it don't matter, long as we're going somewhere together. I've got a quarter, heads Carolina, tails California. We can load what we own in the back of a U-Haul van. Couple modern day roses, searching for the promised land. We can go for 100 miles before we stop for gas. We can drive for a day, then we'll take a look at the map. Oh, heads Carolina, tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer, up in the mountains, down by the ocean, where it doesn't matter.
Morse, everybody. That was thrilling. That was thrilling. Do you feel comfortable doing the interview?
Sure, I can. I mean, you want me out of the tub?
Corinne forgot that there was an interview section. So let's just tell everybody here on Toilet Tunes a little bit. So Corinne and I used to sing together a lot when I lived in Nashville. We also waited tables and bartended and just pretty much shenanigans.
Yes.
And good times. And we always wanted to take it on the road.
We did.
In a big way. And Corinne still lives here, so anytime I come to Tennessee, I get to find excuses to sing, like, hey, can we sing in my bathroom? That song is such a, I don't know, that for me is like part of the kind of music that made me want to move to Nashville.
Yeah, it was definitely, they say that the music between maybe 15 and 19 is the music that defines your life. That was the music from then. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah. I made, my husband and I, we went to junior prom together, and as like a gift.
I made him a cassette tape.
I did that, but what's more specific about this song is this song was super popular that year, and I took a quarter and I wrote, Carolina and California, and I taped it on the quarter and gave him that. Now I feel like my son would just 3D print that for somebody, but I got my tape and my crayons out. Do you know who wrote that song?
No.
I feel like we were obsessed with knowing who wrote it.
I feel like Phil Vassar wrote so many of her songs during that time.
It might have been Phil Vassar. Well, we'll figure that out, and I will link to that below.
But it was a good song. You brought it up yesterday. You're like, hey, should we maybe do this song? And I was like, yeah, I love that song. And then, as we thought about it, she was the artist that I had my first cut with.
That's right.
And so that felt fun.
Yeah.
Just to, I don't know, there's a thread.
Oh, for sure.
I love it.
Corinne Chapman is a fantastic songwriter, and the song that she's referring to is called Just Drive, and you can find your version.
Yes.
And you can also listen to JoDee Messina's version. I will link to that below. I like to do that. That's my version of show notes. Corinne, in addition to being a person who's had music in so many ways in your life, what else are you doing here in Nolensville right now? And being a mom and a wife and a spectacular human and bringing your community together. But I'm thinking specifically of Nesting Project and Good Enough. Can you tell us a little bit?
I feel I wish that I was doing more music, but I am in a season of my life where every time I get back to it and do it, I love it, and I somehow, and this is all in my head, I find that it is a guilty pleasure for me, and so when push comes to shove, I feel like I need to be doing something to support my family somehow, or being part of my community. Like, taking the time for me isn't good enough. You need to do that.
Yeah.
But so I have a company that it's a creative company. We do wedding invitations, bachelorette shirts. We print direct-to-garment screening, direct-to-garment screening. We do a lot of recipe tea towels at Christmas. We do, we direct-to-film print. We print transfers for people. We banners and signs. So that is a thread for me, that is being able to take some creative and put it back into the community. So I do love that.
It has a beautiful, even though a lot of that work could be virtual, right? Like you can do those things and not interact with the public, but you have a very lovely storefront so that you also have that.
Yes.
Because community is just so important to you.
It is so important to me. So then I coach gymnastics because my daughter is a gymnast, and so I do that probably more than I should. But I love them, and now I'm invested in all the girls.
Yeah.
So every year the hours get more. But my final thing this year, and you were a big part of this, I have thought about doing a podcast for 7 years. 7. But it's called The Good Enough Woman, and yet I didn't take my own motto of saying, hey, be good enough, and I didn't think that I was good enough. Why me be the host? But I chose a word this year back in early November, right before you and I went on a trip, and my word was going to be enough, and therefore I had no choice. I had no choice but to say, well, it's the time for me to tackle it, and if I'm not going to be doing music, then I can pour myself into this and still reconnect with people in the same way It just looks different. And so I have a podcast called The Good Enough Woman, having women like yourself on to talk about the things in our life that we think makes us not good enough, or the hurdles that we have to jump over and how we get through them. And it doesn't matter how successful you are or how terrible a situation or how great a situation may seem. We all have our own story.
Yeah.
And we just need to make it so that we can talk about it, make it normalize being able to talk about those things.
It's a beautiful podcast, and it's been out, 2 months now?
Yeah, we just released our, let's see, it'll be like maybe 8th or 9th episode at that point.
So go be an early adopter. I will link below so that you can do that. The new episodes come out on Wednesday, so today is a Friday, just in case you forget. And my episode, our conversation is coming up next Wednesday, June 5th. So go follow the podcast, rate and review.
Yes.
I think I'm supposed to ask people to rate and review probably this YouTube series too, and I forget to do that. But
subscribe too. Subscribe. That's probably the most important thing for you.
I do have that button. Yeah, it's just such a... I'm going to just say this one thing and then move on, and you can't respond, Corinne, but I cannot overstate how much influence this woman has had on my life, because when I was a young... still so young, but when I was a younger person and I moved to town knowing nobody, she very gracefully took me under her apron wing and both showed me how to wait tables, but then showed me how to write songs, showed me how to lead a band, showed me how to walk through the world as a brave human and to trust my own integrity and to value my work. And all you get to say to that one is thank you.
No, I can't because I want to say this. You walked alongside me while I did those things. So while you say I taught you, you also taught me. So we were in it together.
Oh my gosh. We all did it while we were covered in pepperoni.
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 And we smelled
pepperoni sounds good. Pecorino Romano. Jeez. Pepperoni sounds like some...
It does, like a jabroni.
Yeah. Anyways, when we're on Toilet Tunes, I like to ask a few questions.
Yes, I'm ready.
Before I get to those questions, I have to ask you. It is a question. And I know the answer, but they don't know the answer. How do you feel about coffee? And be honest.
Yeah, I don't drink it.
Right.
I don't drink it because, number one, nobody in my family growing up drank it.
Sure.
My grandparents drank it, so that was a first thing.
Yeah.
Then I love the smell of it.
Yeah.
I just don't like the taste of it. I'm sure it would be an acquired taste or at some point, but... More importantly, caffeine also does not like me.
Doesn't love her back.
If I have caffeine, every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I really want a Diet Coke. And I'll come in to the shop or something, and my staff will be like, did you have caffeine today? I'm like, yes. So just imagine me on caffeine, and you'll realize why my body says no.
How do you feel about small businesses, though?
Oh, well. I am a small business.
Right.
So, of course, I want to support them as much as possible. And honestly, one of the things, we seem to give bigger businesses like McDonald's or, a grocery store or Target, we give them grace when something goes wrong. But we don't give the same grace to small businesses. And they're really the ones that are impacted directly.
Yeah.
When you complain... There is a person behind it, not a machine. So just, remember to love your people and give them a little grace.
Yeah. I ask these questions because Toilet Tunes is sponsored by Winnow MN. I brought Winnow MN's little card. Hold on a second. Winnow MN is a coffee roasting subscription service where you sign up and they send you a bag of freshly roasted coffee beans once a month. From a different Minnesota roaster.
Nice.
So you can tour the state of Minnesota and all the different coffee roasters we have, and we have many, without ever leaving your home. I believe that it takes a really specific kind of passion to say, I want to roast coffee beans. And that's how I'm going to like make my mark on the world. Usually any roaster that I talk to, it means like I want to honor the farmer, I want to honor the land. So coffee fuels dreamers. That's what I say. Even if you don't drink it, it's fueling a dreamer that you're surrounded by.
Oh, for sure.
And if you use code Stay Toilet Tuned at you get $5 off your first bag. It's still May, and we're still drinking Sebastian Joe's. Their single origin coffee. Sebastian Joe's, if you're in Minnesota, you would know them as a place that gives you ice cream, but how nice, they also roast delicious coffee. Yay!
Now, I could take
Thank
ice
you,
cream
Ano.
all day long.
Sure.
So,
If we, yeah, right. So there's a place we can all meet. Okay, official Toilet Tunes question. First
Yes.
one is, will you, Corinne Chapman Morse, tell me something good? Tell me.
that's the easiest thing because you are here. That's the best thing. I mean, you heard this morning, I woke up, our server at work is deciding to just not work. And the last 4 weeks of just every day I wake up, there's something.
Yeah.
But I was looking very much forward to seeing your face. And as you said yesterday, I can talk to you. Well, we have a hard time talking to one another because we're both busy and it's we text a lot.
Yeah.
But seeing you and physically wrapping my arms around you and feeling your body next to mine and the energy that comes between us, that's my number one.
It's so good. It's so good. I hope, do you all out there have like a person that you can just like time travel just by like touching their arm? That one. Also our friend Tracy, who's not here, but she would be. There was another piece of us.
Yes.
She's busy today. Okay, the next question, that is good, thank you. Mm-hmm. Where are you learning right now? Right now.
Well, I'm learning in the podcast world.
Yeah.
That is,
I bet
I've
there's
had
so
moments
much.
where I forgot to hit record or on the
Let's
video.
check. We hit record.
Yes,
Okay.
you were good. I know. So, I've forgotten to hit record on the video. I've experienced a card being full halfway through, even though we thought we wiped it, and having to stop in the middle of the episode and figuring out where we were and restart, getting back to that.
Yeah.
I've had to figure out what I like for the sound and how to reach people, how to connect, how to ask the right questions, how to not say the same word over and over again. It's a different world, and I'm really enjoying it though.
That's awesome. That is like both robust in tech learning that you have to do, and also I find in Toilet Tunes, like I'm always learning how to, you said ask better questions, but how to interview in a way that feels, how can I meet my guest where they're at?
Right.
How can I help that guest feel comfortable answering questions, and how can I bring that guest to life?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's...
Learning to be a super communicator.
Yeah.
Better.
Oh, did you read that book? Charles
I did
Duhigg?
not, but I really should.
It's coming up in my feed all the time.
Yeah, I
You
do
just
need to
this.
read it because I've heard podcasts about it or just about the subject, and I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, the next question is, I always think it goes hand in hand with where are you learning. Where are you learning is acute, and it's right now. What for you is the steady beat of it, the thing that you return to time and time again for restoration or or renewal or just something that you depend on?
That's again very easy because that beat, that soul beat, is in connection and in allowing a space, not just for the guest. Like that's my number one going into it, is allowing space for them to tell their story and for potentially it to touch someone else.
Yeah.
But it's also allowing space for myself.
Yeah.
To sit and listen and learn and connect and stop all the madness around me for just a short amount of time.
Yeah. And I guess that you do that with people not on the podcast too, right? Like that's something that you make space for with, you have a very rich and deep and broad like social network of people, right?
Less so than I did before though,
Sure.
because I think I've filled my time with my, nesting project and then gymnastics. And I think I was starting to feel like, how when you don't write songs for a while and you quite literally feel like the words are jumping out of your cup of coffee, or it's just in you clawing its way out.
Yeah.
When I have not allowed space for that connection, there's something clawing at me inside to make that space. And I think that's essentially, it was the perfect timing to force myself to create the space for that, because otherwise I don't know, I'm internally combust.
For sure. An internal agitation. I get that. That's good. Will you take us by the ears and spin us out to something you're listening to that's inspiring, that's getting you hot and bothered, is what I like to say, which I mean like turned on, not getting you mad.
Something that I'm listening to. Oh boy.
It can be new, it can be old, it can be, whatever.
Well, I have been consuming, again, a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just in that world, learning. And I love the Brene Browns and things like that. But I also really like to listen to Armchair Expert.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good one. I meant music, and I should have said that. But I'm going to link to Armchair Expert, which is with Dax Shepard. They're long-form interviews. They're awesome.
They are long-form. And there's usually an expert, and then there's like maybe an icona. And then there's these ones that are anonymous. So they tell these stories, and I love those because they're just crazy stories.
I like a crazy story.
Listening to music-wise.
Yes, I'm sorry I did a bad job setting that
That's
up.
okay. I've been listening to Post Malone a little bit more recently.
Yeah.
I think we listened to him quite a bit, especially during like Sunflower and things like that. But he has made this foray into the country world, and I'm really...
Everyone forays there at some point.
I know.
I do think there's a tendency to be like, I'm going to foray over to this.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to see how they connect, and so I don't know that I love his voice. There's something about it that is intriguing to me. But I think what I'm really listening to is how does this world and this world, and how do they connect, and what are the listeners? So I'm really looking way beyond the music at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think that's hard. When we, again, songwriters like in Nashville, you're always looking at like a broader picture. It's rare that I listen to music. I'm getting better at it and just listen to music. Like often I'm like listening and plus analyzing.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it. I've never listened to Post Malone before. What song do I listen to?
Oh, I can't give you one right now.
No?
I can't.
After, I'm going to pin her down.
Yeah. I'll listen to that and give you my favorite.
Once I'm done recording, and then we will have that in the linked.
But I'll give you a different song that I really love, and I will say that there's only been like 2-3 songs that I have picked out right at the beginning where I go, I really love this, and it's going to be huge. One of them was Breathe by Faith Hill, way long ago. The very first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a hit. But Stick Season.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it months ago on the radio, because Lightning 100 is kind of an independent radio station, and I was like, man, this song is great.
Yeah.
It just gives me all the feeling of summer, and I love it. And then I started hearing it on other stations, and then people at work were like, oh, I love this song, and I saw it getting its momentum, and no matter how much I hear it, every time I just crank it up on my radio.
Yeah, it's a good one.
There you go.
It is good. Noah Kahan. Kahan.
I say Kahan.
You say Kahan. I say Kahan. Yeah, we both do. Oh my gosh, Corinne Chapman Morse. You were Corinne Chapman when I met. Like when you meet someone forever, she was Corinne Chapman.
Yeah,
that's her music name. It's still.
We talked about that last night, or on our podcast, we talked about the name and why it's hard to get rid of a name that you've had for 32 years, and then you get married, and you're like, what do I do with this name? It's a part of who I am. Yeah. So I just moved it to my middle name. Yeah. Because I couldn't get rid of it.
But on Apple Music, Spotify, you're Corinne Chapman. So thank you, person. So I will link to the music website so you can go and listen to Corinne's music. I'm also going to listen to the podcast, so you link to that so you can listen to the podcast. It's just been a dream to be here. Thank you. I love you.
Me too. I love you.
When we're done recording, we're going to hug.
I don't know if you understand, or I don't know if you can see it, but hopefully you've seen the way we feel comes out to you.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And Toilet Tunes has 1 episode for sure left, possibly 2 if I can swing it. So thank you to listeners who've been with me all season. Know that I'm going to need you to show up next Friday and maybe one more. This is also the time I get to thank sponsors real quick. Again, we're going to thank Winnow. We love you. And Sebastian Joes, who they're featuring this month. I can't wait to see who the June roaster is. Then I have a partnership in kind with a community organization in Wyoming, Minnesota. You've not been to Wyoming,
No, I have
Minnesota, but it's the Wyoming Area Creative Arts Community, WACIC. Say it with me, WACIC.
WACIC.
Yeah, they are a old church. You would love this. An old church that has been repurposed to. It's got an art gallery with a monthly rotation of artists, and then they also do They do classes and gatherings, and then they do once a month a songwriter in the round series where it is pin drop quiet and glorious. They care for the artists, they care for the listeners, and I really hope if you are anywhere near Wyoming that you go visit them on the last Thursday of the month. And if you're not, you can watch it on YouTube because they live stream them, which is fantastic. And then my most important sponsors, not that I would choose, but like I have to sit, it's the truth. My Patreon people. Sarah subscribers over at Patreon. I couldn't do any of this stuff without you. Certainly couldn't be in Tennessee getting ready to go to a writer's retreat without you. So thank you, Sarah subscribers. Thank you, Toilet Tunes watchers. Until next Friday, go follow Corinne Chapman and Good Enough Women podcast and stay toilet tuned.